I want to bring in one of my favorites, one of our favorites, Mike Lindell, the My Pillow guy, native of Minnesota. And, sir, we're sorry for what your state is going through. Give us a sense. I actually think you have some interesting ideas about what should be done so something like this doesn't happen again.
Right. But, you know, just today, I think our governor, I've heard that he's sending back some of the National Guard. He's made so many mistakes, and our mayor, it's disgusting that they, it's like having 1,000 sandbags for an anomaly flood, and you only bring in 200, or you only use 200 of the sandbags. But one of the things that, you know, this horrific crime against humanity that happened, I think you go back 40, 50 years, back when you didn't have cell phones, when you didn't have head cams, and you didn't have cameras in the streets. Well, police are under a different thing where if something happens, if they commit a crime, if they do something horrific, it goes into internal, you know, it gets investigated over the course of months. And that's what the public doesn't realize. We're still in a footprint that goes back 40, 50 years. Now we have cell phones and stuff. You see it right on videotape. You have probable cause. It should be changed across our whole country. I don't care what, if a police officer commits a crime and you got it, probable cause, you bring him in just like a normal citizen and you hold him. You can hold in Minnesota, you can hold someone 48 hours and decide whether to charge them or not. That you have to accelerate your investigation. This should have been done immediately, but I don't even know if you can legally do that because we're living in the past. And all four of them should have been brought in and you know, and held, and then you see what do we have? I don't even know if they were even investigated. You know, I mean, this is what everybody's still upset about. The regular protest was the right away. They don't, you know, in any crime by a police officer, they don't charge him right away. They don't bring him in to hold him. What if he'd have went out and killed more people? What if he would have went out, you know, I just did this right in front of a camera. We have technology now where we need to change and hold them accountable. And if you have bad apples in every profession, you're going to have that in police. And, you know, you should also have it where you have an officer make it a felony if he doesn't tell, if he sees a crime by another officer, he better tell it, because if it's found out later, then he should go to jail. And if these things are put into place, along with, there's some other good things too, it's called recap. There's a thing where it's going, restoring every city around peace. There's a lot of things being done out there, but we have to change how our police are held accountable, because now we have, if something like we just seen, I mean, anybody would be hauled in. What if he'd have choked him with his hands? You know, he would have still had to run an investigation. In Minnesota, they said, well, we did the fastest investigation ever in 4 days to charge an officer. No, you should have done it. You'd seen him. You fired him on the first day. You should have charged him on the first day. Yeah. That was the first of many, many mistakes.
You know, we give the benefit of the doubt to the cops, but that video, I'm sorry, that video was all we needed to see. You think a lot of this could have been avoided? You think if they made the arrest that night or the following morning that we would not have had this carnage, we would not have had these protests coast to coast? I actually think there's a chance of that if they did it right away.
You absolutely, because this was not a racist thing. This was a guy, a bad person, and maybe 4 bad people. I think there's all 4, for sure, 2 or 3. And they should have been brought in. This was everybody. This was a crime against humanity. And if they would have been brought in, that's what the protest was about. We have to change. If I'm an honest policeman, I want laws to change where I'm held accountable immediately, or a bad person that this cop was. And if that would have been done right away, I think it could have been avoided. I also think this: once this had happened, our governor in Minnesota and for them to let our mayor, let him burn down the precinct, and you let just chaos go wild and riots and stuff, and then you finally go to bring in the National Guard, but you only bring in a little bit of them. I mean, this is, I mean, absolutely. Right. I can't even think of how all the people I grew up here in Minnesota. My friends lost their businesses downtown. They're calling. You're right. Antifa was brought in. There's people that just violent, bad people themselves.
Mike Lindell, you got a lot of ideas, good ideas, in my opinion. Massachusetts knows you, Minnesota knows you, loves you. Well, they do in Massachusetts as well. You're a national figure. You're just about household name famous. What about running for office? U.S. Senate, governor, are you interested? Are you thinking about it?
Well, everybody wants to be governor in 2022 in Minnesota. And after this, I'll tell you what, I keep leaning that way because I see so many things that are common sense things. We've lost common sense. You know, when our president, we have the greatest president in history, but it's common sense. Here's a problem. Here's a solution. What will it manifest to? This drives me every day. I've said it before. If I get it in prayer from God to run, I will. But all the signs are there. Everything's set up. And in our state we need to get these things righted. And and this was even before the pandemic. We had the highest black unemployment in the United States in Minneapolis. We're making so many mistakes in Minnesota, and they need to be fixed. They need to be fixed now.
All right, Mike Lindell for governor 2022. I think he's running. I think you're running. But we'll stay tuned, okay? And don't forget the MyPillow business, of course. That's your bread and butter. We count on you for that. Hey, Mike, to be continued. Thanks very much, sir.
Thanks for having me on. God bless.